Hi, I'm Mike, as you may have heard, and I did this with the help of, she's gone. There she is, Scarlett in the back. Super, super helpful. This would not have been possible without her. But anyway, I figure I can take you through some rigs that'll be commonplace when doing car stuff. We've got just the basics: a hood mount, a door mount, another door mount but in a different style, and then like kind of a sort of a wheel shot, like an action thing, like if you're doing something cool or whatever. And yeah, I think we can, while he's setting up the pictures there, we can probably just get started with the hood mount. So I'll try to spin the car around here and see if I can get a better view on. Might have to do it with more than one hand. There we go. Perfect. Okay, that's good enough. Great. So with a hood mount, it's really simple. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The way that I tend to do it, I like to give it, basically, I'll make a little rectangle out of pipe, and then I'll sit my cheese plate on top of that. Now, for those of you who don't know the term, cheese plate is basically just a big aluminum square with holes drilled in it so that you can sit a dove plate for a camera, or a lot of them have a Mitchell mount already like kind of carved into them so that you can put a normal fluid head for a camera operator to use. I mean, not that you would operate a shot that's on a moving car. I haven't had to rig that ever. It's possible, but... And then what I like to do is I like to get 4 little like legs made out of pipe, just at all 4 corners, and that'll act as kind of like my leveling for the whole apparatus. And then obviously I'll keep tennis balls on the bottom just so we're not right into the car. A lot of people actually will have these purpose-built pipe holders made out of foam that are really nice. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly where you can get them, but you'll see that too. That's really common, and it makes it super easy so that you don't even have to do this. You literally just make your rectangle. You slot your little foam foot on the bottom of this, and then you ratchet strap the whole thing down to the hood of the car. And that's really great for getting as low as possible. A lot of the time, when you are making a hood mount, the biggest challenge can come from needing to get lower. Because if you have a Mitchell head sitting on top of your cheese plate, and you're already as low as you can get to the car, I mean, the head that's holding the camera is often like 6 to 8 inches tall, and then the camera itself is another 6 inches. So it's like the lowest your camera could possibly be is like here. Like my hand would be the sensor. And then when that happens, you kind of get into like framing issues. Like if you want to see the people who are sitting in the back seat, that becomes a bit difficult. So what you can do is get those foam feet. That helps a lot. And then also having a ball leveling head is really nice, super helpful for that sort of thing, because then you don't have to you won't have to use the camera's own head. You can have a ball leveling head is like there's a couple over there. I didn't use them for this because there were only 2 available, but I'll show you later. They're really nice. They're basically 3 inches tall, and they take the normal camera head out of the equation. So you can basically instead of being way up here with your lens can be like down here. And then the other option you have as well, which we didn't do this here, but if you want to get even a little bit lower, you can flip this whole thing and rig it upside down, and then do that leveling head. So your lens could even be like as low as here. Alternatively, if you don't have those pieces of equipment on hand, it's a bit crazy, but you can do it. I have done it. You get these pipes to be maybe like 1 foot taller. Same with the front ones. You take this and you go up, and then you hang the whole camera upside down. And then your lens can be as low as you want. That looks insane, and it freaks out the person driving for sure. So it's not ideal, but you can do it in a pinch. Next on the list, and probably the easiest on the list to do. This is a great option for those of you who need to do a car rig, but you don't have access to all of the tools that we have for whatever reason. Of course, SetReady Rentals is always available. But if for whatever reason you can't, and maybe it's like you don't have someone on your staff who's well versed in car rigging, this is perfect for that sort of thing. Because it's like you literally, with a Hostess Tray, I don't know if you can see this. Of course, there will be an opportunity at the end of this to come up and just have a closer look. But with a Hostess tray, it's just a bunch of knobs that you can loosen, and it's all pre-built. So you literally, with one unit, like loosen these two knobs here, slide them back, and then just hook the whole thing onto the door, and it does the job for you. Like, that's literally it. Now all you got to do once it's there is decide how you want to level it, and then you just, once you've got it to your liking, you just throw a couple ratchet straps around it, and that's not fucking going anywhere. So yeah, super easy. The other thing you can do, and this is a different style of rigging. You can hard mount your rigs to the frame. Whenever possible, you should always try to do this in some way or another. A hard mount includes things like bolting directly to a hole in the frame, if you can find one. That's why the car is on these jacks, specifically so that I was able to kind of like shimmy under there earlier today, and I found a couple of holes in the frame of my car, and there are these things called body starters. I can show you guys if you want to all sort of come up and have a closer look at the end of this. But basically what it is it's a steel hook with threads on the bottom, and you can, if you find a little hole that you can get that hook into, you then pull down and screw whatever it is that you want to screw onto it and it kind of clamps down on the frame. And so that's how this pipe right here is being supported. There's a couple other ways you can do it, but usually it involves just sort of bolting something to the frame if you can. And that's great, because now this might as well be a part of the car. Yeah, Scarlett's got one here. Perfect. So this is kind of what it looks like when it's all put together. I have longer ones, but they're in use. Basically, yeah, it's like a sort of a flat disc of metal that you can, if you can get it into a little nook or cranny on the car and then just screw it in, they act like a vise or a clamp. And then you can, this is a pipe starter, by the way, this cylinder of aluminum. Basically, it's useful for, just clamping onto, and it's got a thread on one side. And usually it's got a thread on the other, but this one's got like a little receiver for a 5/8 spigot, which I've literally never used, but someday might come in handy. I don't know. Thanks. But yeah, so that's great for this sort of thing, because this is a different style of door mount. Like this one, the one downside to the Hostess tray is it kind of like limits you a little bit in how low you can go, because you need these to be here because they just slot over the door. If you want to have a shot where you see a bit of the door frame, you know, like, or if the window needs to be rolled up, like you can't do that here, which is not great for sound, but you know, it is what it is. That's where that sort of thing comes in, and it takes a bit more preparation and a bit more like expertise and stuff. But it's great because the way we built this, like I said, it's rigged right to the frame, so it might as well be part of the car. It's built in a way that with this clamp here and this clamp behind it, I don't know how many of you can see it, we can adjust the height to be as low as we want or as high as we want. We can see as much or as little of the door itself as the DP likes. So that's really helpful. And we can also slide it side to side the way we built it, because we put the cheese burrows with about 6 inches of clearance on either end from the ends of this pipe. So that's really helpful, because 9 times out of 10, when the DP tells you where they want the camera and you place it there, and then talent sits in, you're going to go, oh, well, that's interesting. Actually, can we put the camera here instead? And, like, the answer is not allowed to be, yeah, like, give me an hour. So you kind of have to build these things in, like, the way that we did, where it's able to go up and down and side to side. And that's, again, so this is a leveling head like I was talking about. They're great for that, because once you've found your angle, you can just lock it in, and it's super low profile. So that's wicked. Sometimes, for a little while there, I didn't own a leveling head. So all the time, whenever they were like, hey, can we just, like, tilt down a little bit? I'd be like, yeah. The last rig we've got here is, a suction cup and rods rig. So if for whatever reason the vehicle you're rigging to is, you know, smaller or your rig needs to be lighter weight, rods are unbelievably strong. These ones are made of stainless steel. Modern sells them. There's a couple different places you can get them. Obviously, SetReady Rentals has a bunch of rods in their package. They've also got all the rigging hardware that you could need. These are mini grip heads, and they're great for this sort of thing. It's like low profile. And normally when you're doing something like this with suction cups, there's a bit of like a debate as to whether suction cups are totally trustworthy. Kind of like the general consensus, though, is if you are using nothing but suction cups, try to make sure there's either at least one hard mount, so that if a suction cup fails or whatever, at least you have one point that's like permanently affixed to the car that can kind of take up that slack, or have ratchet straps to keep the suction cups from even being able to fail in the first place. Like if you're ratcheting a suction cup to the door, it's probably not gonna fail on you. Like you're probably good. This one is rigged to the frame just down here, and I did a similar thing with the pipe starter and the body starter. I just found a little hole in the frame, and yeah, same idea. Just kind of clamped it down on that, tightened it, and then just sort of threaded a spigot into it. Of course, there are pictures. Yeah, so that's kind of what we did on the underside there. It's kind of hard to make out, but here is one of the body starters kind of on the other side of this piece of steel, or I assume it's steel, I don't know. But then there's a pipe starter, and this has a thread on it. So I went ahead and I put a dog bone clamp on there, and then a rod that goes straight down, and that's what this rod is here. And then that is how we connected this to that, just to rigid it up a bit. Well, that's just the descriptions. I can tell you some basic rules for rigging, because sometimes you see on Instagram someone upload like a camera rig or whatever, and you're like, I don't know about that. So always make sure that whenever you've got your camera rigged somewhere, you're putting a safety on it in some form or another. For this one, we've done a spigot into the top of the body of the camera and a suction cup on the roof, and that suction cup is rated for 180 pounds, so should be good. And it's not supporting anything right now. All it's doing is once we found our position with this, we just locked it in place. So now if for whatever reason this fails, this will still be there, so that's fantastic. Same goes for this, is we rigged off of this rod here to another rod on the camera, and that rigidifies it up a lot, and also just gives you 2 points of contact on the camera. If you really want it to be, like if I knew this was going to go off-roading or do something crazy, I would probably want to put another point. I might take a pipe to the underside of this car and use that as a safety. But obviously we're just sitting here in studio, so it's all good. It's got 2 points of contact. And yeah, same can be said. Some people think that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a daisy chain is. It's kind of like a piece of climbing equipment, but it's essentially just imagine a long sort of rope with a bunch of loops in it. Some people will safety cameras with daisy chains, and that's great in most cases, but with car rigging, you kind of can't, because the thing that the camera's on is moving. And so if everything else fails and the only safety left is that daisy chain, now it's almost worse, because you'd almost rather the camera drop and hit ground than now the camera is a flail and it's just going to continue swinging and hitting everything as you drive past. So that's why rods are usually like a lot better for that sort of thing. Of course, you can use C-stand arms, but rods just kind of allow you to get a little more like specific with where you want it. Sometimes rods or C-stand arms might like constrain you to where exactly you can put camera, just based on the length of the arms not being adjustable at all. The best way to keep from scratching a car, first of all, immediately turn your belt backwards so your buckle's not every time you lean to do something just fucking destroying it. Same goes for tools. I typically, when I'm rigging a car, will not have my tools on me, just because if I'm leaning over something and I got, pony clamps all damaging the everything, and But another great question, because another thing that you really need to know is when using suction cups on a car, a lot of times there is a thin layer of dust or dirt or whatever on the car, and if you do a suction cup without wiping that off first, it will leave a little ring of dust or dirt embedded in the paint, because these pull with about 80 pounds of force, and then the big ones, like I said, like 180. So it'll basically just push a bunch of dirt into the paint job, and you can't really wipe it off anymore. You have to like buff it out, and that's obviously if the owner of the Lamborghini is watching you and he sees you do that, it's going to be a bit harder to convince him, like, no, don't worry, this will buff right out. And they're like, yeah, okay, buddy, fucking I need a new door. So yeah, just always make sure you take a little bit of soap and water and a microfiber cloth to any surface that you plan on putting a suction cup on before you do. Just it'll help you in the long run with that sort of thing. And sometimes, even if you do that, there still may be a tiny little ring, but that does buff out. Like, I've done it personally, and I can promise it does buff out.
Mike, if someone's like, they've maybe mounted like a single suction cup with a smaller camera on it, and they're looking to go into something like this for one of these style mounts, instead of just doing it yourself, how would someone get on a shoot and start becoming, specializing in car rigging so that they can do it safely themselves?
It wouldn't take much more than a couple of suction cups. A couple of suction cups, some spigots, and then, like I said, like C-stand arms and grip heads. You can do some car rigs, some pretty decent car rigs yourself, like you'd said, it's like some people will just put a single suction cup on the hood of a car and screw a camera into that, and that's, oh, good enough, it works, it didn't fall this time. But even if you just took 2 more suction cups and just went to 2 different points on the camera after you did that, that's totally fine. Like, that's golden, and it's you wouldn't look at that and be like, holy moly, what a car rig, but it works. And if it works and it's, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. So yeah.
What are some little trinkets that you keep in your kit that maybe some people want to write down to keep in their own kit that are not the standard?
Great question. Yeah. So gutter hooks. Gutter hooks are these little things right here, and what they do is it's basically a little steel hook like that, and it's like pretty thin, and the idea is it can slide into places where you can't normally get a ratchet strap. And they're great for just every little like slot on the car that you might want to like put a strap into.
This is a cool little trick. This is a yoga mat?
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's an old car rigger trick is yoga mats. Yoga mats, you should have a couple with you if you do want to get into this. Yoga mats are great for reducing any like slippage, but also obviously protecting the car. And I mean, the thicker the better, but if you get like 5 of them at the dollar store, like that's totally good too. That's fine. Another thing that's really useful is, again, those body starters, tennis balls. Tennis balls are super useful. I mean, tennis balls are super useful for just gripping in general anyway, because half the time if you're putting something up in a house and like there's a C-stand arm that's like right about eye height, you want to just jam a ball on that. But yeah, tennis balls are a great thing to have for this. Pool noodles. Pool noodles are awesome. You can always buy a pool noodle, and if ever you need to have a pipe pressed right up against the car for whatever reason, you can just cut a slit in the back of the pool noodle, slip your pipe in, and go to town. Weight limits for suction cups. For this one specifically, we use this as an example. It's got 4 points. Each one of these 6-inchers is rated for 80 pounds. This big boy is rated for 180. With being this far out, it's kind of a do your own testing sort of thing. You kind of have to, once you've got it in place, you just press on it and see kind of what weight it can take. And if you feel comfortable doing it, then that's fine. Like this, that's great. Like that's totally not going anywhere. But it does vary sort of scenario to scenario. If we were much closer to the car and say we just had like a pipe going from this suction cup to that suction cup and we were just hanging the camera off that, I would say the weight limit is probably the same as the weight limit for the suction cups, because you could sit right on that and it wouldn't budge. But again, it's like with suction cups, there's a bit of consideration because they are soft mounts. They're not to the frame of the car. They can fail. If something happens and somehow someone gets a fingernail or something underneath one of the edges of this, it'll lose suction, and it'll happen instantly. Like it's so that's why also, I don't know if you guys noticed, the perimeter of every suction cup is taped specifically so that can't happen.
Gaff tape, painter's tape. What do you kind of tape?
Any tape you have. Cloth tape works pretty good. Paper tape works pretty good. But yeah, just whatever you can get as close to that edge as possible.
You know, what are some of the questions you'd ask if there is car rigging shots to help you?
Yeah. That's I would always ask, what camera is it? How heavy is it? That's really what I'm asking when I'm asking what camera is it. I'm asking how much does it weigh? And then, of course, sort of what are you going for with the shot? Not necessarily where you want it, because sometimes where someone will describe to you where they want the camera isn't exactly what they mean. So they'll say, like, oh, I want it kind of like the front of the hood. And you'll do it, and they'll be like, that's not what I meant at all. I meant over here. And they're pointing at, like, the headlight. And you're like, oh, sure. All right, fine. So I'll ask, like, do you want to see both the actors? Do you want it to be perfectly front on? I'll try to be as specific as possible with where we get this camera, and then the question becomes, like, how many rigs do you want to do? Do you want a door mount? Do you want to get both sides? Because that changes things. If we did want to get both sides, do I have time to do a bit of underbody rigging so that I can save us time later? Because the good thing about underbody rigging like that is if you can find a place on the underside of the car to get two pipes, and you get 7-foot long pipes. You can have each pipe stick about a foot out from the side of the car, and then if it comes time to swap sides, it's instant. It's like, okay, unclip, or unclamp, pick it up, walk it over, land it, boom. Like it's so fast. But the other thing is it does take a little extra time to set it up that way, which they don't always have. Yeah, and then you know, depending on what they say, like, again, if they want to see a bit of the door frame, if they want the window rolled up, then we know, okay, well, it needs to either be suction cups or underbody rigging. It can't be a hostess tray. Yeah, there's a lot that kind of goes into it, and it mainly involves as much communication as is humanly possible. So this one is actually, we made it so that it's relatively easy to adjust. Basically, there's one suction cup here that I don't know if you can see, but it's preventing it from being able to go side to side at all. All we would do is we would unclamp it from that suction cup. We would loosen this clamp right here and this clamp over here, because there's two pipes that go vertically, and then it's pretty easy to just slide it up and down. Right now, it looks like we could theoretically go 4 inches lower than it currently is, or we could go like 8 inches higher. Yeah, so it's pretty easy, and then you would just retighten this clamp and that clamp, and then find a new spot on the door for the suction cup to sit, to make sure it doesn't go side to side.
I think the key thing that, I know you have a second question, but one of the key things you said earlier in the presentation is modularity. You never know when a DP is going to change their mind. Even if the boards have drawn up something, is that flexibility of 8 to 10 inches can make a world of difference.
So normally, I will get minimum, like if I'm doing one car rig, I'll get minimum of 6 of each length of pipe, of like 6 1-foot pipes, 6 2-foots, 6 3, 6 4, 6 5s, and 6 6s, and then maybe a couple of 8s just to have, and then I'll get like 20 Allen clamps. That's the other thing. You always want to use Allen clamps, Alvin clamps, I meant, because so that'll be what these guys are, like this little macaroni elbow looking thing. The reason you want to get these as opposed to hard 90s and swivel 90s. Hard 90s and swivel 90s, you should always have a bunch on hand just because they're useful everywhere. But you don't want to have them too close to the car because they've got these nasty like threads that poke up, and they're like jagged on all sides, and like if you accidentally scrape one against a car, it's bad. These guys are nice and round, so they can sit close to the car, and if you mess up, like, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to create a huge scratch. So that's what you always want to do with that. And it looks cleaner. So those will vary. Like, I can't remember the exact names of them right now, but like if you get, I think they're called, they have some weird like serial code name. It's like A475 whatever Alvin clamp. But if you get offset crossovers, say 20 of them, and then I think it's offset tees, I think is what they're called, and you get 20 of those. What that does is it gives you the ability to have either hard 90s that are nice and smooth, or you can have a locking swivel 90, which you can't get out of stuff like that. Because what you do is you insert the offset tee into the crossover, and then it can clamp onto that.
All right, cool. I'm going to say let's give a big round of applause to Mike. You worked tirelessly to put this together for today.